got to stand up strong. Think the truth about themselves to understand what went wrong. I know we can find a way. I know we can find a way. I know we can find a way to stand up, stand up, stand up, and throughout the world today.
Welcome to the show. My name is Jesse Peterson. Bond is Brotherhood Organization of a New Destiny, which I'm the president of. And what we're doing is rebuilding the black community by rebuilding the black man. Today, we're talking about starting your own business. How do you start your business? How do you overcome the fear? What are some of the challenges that you have to face in order to be successful within your business? Today, we have businessmen from the black community that are doing their thing. Some of you guys have been in business for the last 16 years? 16 years. I never heard of you before. Why?
Well,
do you advertise? Because we never hear of the black men that are in business for that long. I have the impression that we're not around that much.
Well, I have advertised. I have a very large clientele.
What kind of advertising do you do?
I use the papers, mostly mail outs to my clients. That's the type of advertisement I do.
All right. Let's talk about the fear. First of all, thank you for coming. This is a 4-part series, so we'll be doing this for the entire month. How do you overcome the fear? How did you guys overcome that fear and starting your own business? Because I know I had the fear, and I had to overcome it. How did you guys overcome the fear? Anyone?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Time. I overcame mine by the longer I stayed in business. I came to find out is for us as black men, the reason why we don't go into business because of that fear of failing. And I found out failing is one of the best part you can have in any business because you will not reach success without failing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when we fail, we give up, and the gold mine can be right around the corner at the time that you give up.
And so your fear was of failing?
That failing and staying in business. I didn't want to be a number as far as black businesses going up and shutting down. So once I had studied my business and studied my market, I knew that it takes between 5 and 10 years, or more, just to have a business. So I'm in my business for the long run, and wasn't looking to make money overnight.
And so, did everybody have the same fear of failing, or is there another fear there too?
Well, this is how I got over my fear.
What was your fear?
My fear was failing, but when I come to understand that you don't walk into success, you don't fall into it, you fail into it. Because if you never seen nothing dirty, you won't know when it's clean. You're gonna have to fail in order to know you win. This is how you when you fail, go at it again. This ain't the end of the road. You just found a way that it wouldn't work.
Okay.
My experience is that
what was your fear?
Failing and also letting other people down who depended on me.
Really?
Certainly, when you have people around you that count on you, there is that fear. But I think the important thing is to recognize that fear is a part of living. It's never going to go away. What you have to do is you go through the fear. If you allow the fear to stop you, then you don't move ahead. You have to go through the fear. And I think it is naive for me to speak of fear without talking about the context, because what I found really helped me get through it was having friends, family, people I knew who were there to in many cases cheer me on and at the same time offer things that I didn't have at the moment. The fear is always present, but I think you have to find ways to also build a safety net.
How long have you been in business now?
16 years.
And is the fear still there?
It changes with the times. There are different things that I have to deal with, and I have learned that you have to go through what you have to go through. It's not an easy task, and I have failed. There have been times when I have failed, but failure is good input. It tells you what doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
And you, the fool or the idiot is the person that keeps trying to do something over and over again, even though it doesn't work. What you have, people talk about working hard. Working hard is not the issue. It's working hard at the right things. And to find out what the right things are, you have to many times, as a friend of mine says, bite the wall. There are times when the rug gets pulled out from up under you. There are things that happen that over which you have no control. But the key is to persevere even though you have failed and to learn the lesson. When you don't learn the lesson, you will fail again.
I want to tell you about my fear, but first, what was your fear, Sylvester?
Well, I just want to say a couple of things. Number one is there's a false sense of security when you work for someone else.
That's true.
I mean, and then we have I don't know if I want to call it fear. If you have a job, you can get fired, and then you have no means to support yourself. If you're in business, you can't get fired. And so I don't really think I failed because I've never been hungry enough. I've been able to do something in order to get some money to feed myself. Right. So I had to retrain myself to realize that I could build a business and have money without depending on someone else. Marcus Garvey once said, if you can't find a job, make a job. So it's a whole mental change and reformation that I had to go through.
And that comes with actually doing the work itself.
You
right?
have to do it.
Out,
the only fear is that, well, maybe I won't be able to make enough money because like someone said, the phone's not ringing, the lights are still on, no one's coming through the door. But somebody's going to come through the door.
Eventually.
And business today is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And then one other point I want to make is that we have to not necessarily just think of business, but we also have to think of manufacturing. Because we have to be totally independent and not just...
Let me tell you about my fear. I had a fear. I was very insecure within myself. I wanted to do my own business, but I heard this thing about white people hold you back, and my parents would tell me, or my close friend would say, you shouldn't do it because you're black, you're not going to make it, and all these things, right? But I also had a fear of dealing with people. I wasn't sure of how to deal with white people when I wanted to go out to get, to offer my service to them. And I didn't want to deal with black people because the way we think about each other, I knew they didn't want to pay, and those different things was within my heart. And so I had a fear of dealing with people as for starting a business. Do you guys understand? Have you had that problem?
Yeah.
I'd like to relate to that. The fear, I had those same fears in dealing with black people that they wouldn't want my services.
Right.
Then the fear of dealing with white people because they wouldn't think I was good enough.
That's right.
So what I did was I changed my image of black people. I changed my image of me toward other groups of people.
Uh-huh.
So I started respecting everybody and started looking for going out to the black community, looking for their business. And as a result, I built a big clientele that's mostly black. And other people I have in my clientele is because black people recommended them to me.
Oh,
but I had to change my image
That's right.
of what I was seeing, because a lot of times it's you, like Mr. Doyle has pointed out, it's you. If you perceive black people not to deal with you, those are the black people you're going to find.
Yeah.
And the other point is, you have to weather the storm, and black people that's going to get into businesses have to get around groups of people that's already in business and listen to what they got to say, because one of the biggest things is, again, not knowing that you can make it, not knowing that all of us go through the same thing.
Right.
But
what was your fear? Did you have a fear, Star?
I had more than one. I had more than one.
Your main fear?
I think one in particular was speaking, was being able to talk to people or speak to groups of people or to speak one-on-one with a client, and that was something. But I think that the fear that we have about business is no different from any other fear.
Right.
And it's about learning ways to get through that fear. And I think what's important for a businessman is that he takes his responsibility for himself and for his business rather than someone writing him a check. And I think that what we must learn, or as businessmen, is you can't just go out and drink. You've got to have some discipline. If you've got to open up your business in the morning, you can't be out all night, or you can't offer a certain level of service. So you have to have some discipline in your life. And I think for a lot of people, there's too much of a thought of money and play and good times, and business takes work and discipline.
This is true. This is the problem. What I found out, that the fear is when I got the customer in mind, is how I can help him instead of thinking about how much is he going to help me, because everybody that come through my business, they on their way somewhere. And it's my job to figure out, when you come in my place, you're helping me to get to where I'm going, so you on your way somewhere.
Yeah.
And so my job is to find out what you do, and I got to come up with a way in my mind that I can figure out a way that I can help you get to where you're going, because if you don't get to where you're going, I'm not going to get to where I'm going.
You know, I want to talk a minute about not knowing what to do, the fear of, you know, you get to a point in your business, you don't know the next step to take. And sometimes you don't even know how to start out, you know, and what to do. What I found is that I just said, to hell with it, you know, I'm going to start simple, in a simple way. And so I started right where I was at, you know, right at the point, what I had, that's where I started. And from that I began to grow, because what I find is that it's good not knowing the answer, you know, because when you don't know what to do, you have to trust. You have to wait to see the answer. Am I making myself clear?
There's no substitute
And
for
it's almost like you discover the next step to take. What I find is that people think that we need to know everything already. And you don't need to know it. You can't know everything
That's
already.
right.
You sort of learn as you go. You understand that?
Well, no one
And
knows everything. I mean,
right.
look at the economy as it stands now. I mean, if they knew everything, it wouldn't be in the conditions in
Oh,
this
the economy now, just like they say, it's a recession.
But you know, let me just say this before we go to break. And the reason I say that, because Doyle, you were talking about earlier that you don't have to have all this education to start a business. There's a false notion out there that you must have a PhD and a LSD and MSD, right, to start a business. And I see mainly you have to have common sense and a will to do it.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Be
the key.
devoted.
what you do, Jesse.
Pardon me?
It depends what you do. I mean, you got to have some training to fly an airplane.
Yeah.
And I know people in the publishing business who don't have any training, and it shows. I mean, certain things you just have to learn how to do. I mean,
And
there's room for
on the
preparation.
job,
But
though.
can't you learn by doing that too?
Yes.
I mean, let
You
me make this
can.
clear. Though. I'm not knocking education. I don't want to imply that I'm knocking it. But there are so many black men that don't have the education and probably won't ever get the education.
All I'm saying is
And yet they
preparation.
can start their own business.
You can learn, but if you don't have the knowledge, you're going to make mistakes. But if you can avoid making those mistakes by learning from somebody else, then do it.
I see what you're getting at, and I see what Mr. Doyle is saying. Today we live in a society that's really changed a lot. It's high tech and all like this. A long time ago, if you had a good heart and you were willing to work 30 years ago, people would hire you. You could get a job and you really could get over. But today, now you have to know something. Now this guy is no doubt probably the first time I met him, but sound like he's have a good shoe shine parlor. Okay, he's taking in money.
Yeah, the
so
best of the West.
if he's taking in money, then he's probably good at shining shoes, but I'm not good at making out my taxes and doing my accounting. So he probably have an accountant or somebody to take care of that part of the business. So it's all an interface of running that business. You see what I'm saying? He understands the mechanics of the service end of it, but when it come time to do his books and to report his records to the IRS without going back to jail, excuse me, then he probably have somebody for that, just like I do. I mean, when I was working at Hughes as a program planner, I know how to set up programs so they could go into the computer, but I wasn't a CPA.
And just
You
one
know.
other thing, you were talking, I think what you're talking about is being an employee.
You see where I'm coming from.
The
Yeah.
employer
Yeah, I
owns
see what you're
that
talking
high-tech personality. All he has to
Right.
know is the numbers. Am I gonna make a profit? I don't have to know anything about anything. If you're an airline pilot, I could hire you. I don't have to know anything about planes. But what I pay you, can I make enough money to run my
But in a
business?
startup business like mine, though, I created it, so I had to learn all aspects of it, you know.
Well, I
Yeah, but
think
you
I'm not in
got
a position
somebody,
yet
you
where I
got
can
somebody to do what you don't know how to do. If I need someone to take a case to court, if I feel that it's best for a tax attorney as opposed to
Right.
myself to represent a client at the IRS, then what I know, I'll just hire a tax attorney to do that for the client.
Yeah.
See? So education, you need the idea and you need courage to do it.
That's right.
But you can't hire if you, when you first start out, you don't have the budget. I mean, you know, you've got
Well,
to.
you're not gonna have the client either. You know,
Well,
you're just not
the
gonna have
fact is, though, education does not necessarily take place in an institution with four walls. I mean, you can get educated in a lot of different ways, mentors, apprenticeship, there's all sorts of ways to get educated.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to pick up on the education part, aspect of starting your business. We'll be back in a minute.
to try some responsibility.
What is Jesse Peterson talking about? Who speaks for black people? Bond, Brotherhood Organization of a New Destiny. Rebuilding the black community by rebuilding the black man. Meetings held every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. and Tuesday evenings at 7:30 p.m. Location, 2625 West Manchester Boulevard, Inglewood, California, 90305. For more information, call area code 213-759-3844. That's 759-3844. Bond, rebuilding the black community by rebuilding the black man.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking about starting your own business. Before we went to break, we were talking about the education aspect. Do you have to have a degree to start a business?
No.
I don't think you have to have a degree, but you have to have knowledge.
You have to have knowledge.
You have to have knowledge.
Okay, so what you mean is, if I want to start a cooking business, I should know something about cooking.
Well, I would hope so.
Right. Okay.
I mean,
just want to make it clear for the folks that don't understand what you mean.
The key is that people think of business in many cases of just making money.
Right.
If you think of a business in terms of just making money, you will go out of business quickly. The key is being able to give. And in so giving, you are rewarded for that which you give. If you give a good service, people love the service and they reward you for that. If you give information and people need that information, they reward you for it. There are a lot.
You do. Is it possible just to come in here and start operating these cameras and doing what you do without any kind of preparation?
You know, I have an interest in life. Not that I think I'm better than anyone else, but I discover as I go. Everything that I'm doing, even what I'm doing now, I never thought or even imagined that I could do what I'm doing, right? But because I was willing to go out and try it, because I got tired of being controlled by other people, I wanted to be my own man, and so I stepped out. And as I go, I discover things.
But
I mean, all these things
the key
there
is
for me.
You are operating off of a vision and a dream. And that's where it all starts. But as you forge ahead with your dream, you begin to know what you need to know. And as
it's there for you.
You see, and let's take a young person who say wants to become an obstetrician. You know, a physician. He has to become a physician first. His dream is to be an obstetrician. But in order to do that, as his dream becomes larger and he finds out what's required, he or she will go and get the information that's needed or the knowledge that's needed in the right places so they can be labeled a professional and they know what to do.
You know, one thing I noticed, and then I want to talk about setting goals, because I don't compete with anyone, I'm not stressed out. I'm not trying to look and see what the other man is doing and is he making more money than I am? You know, I'm just sort of looking at myself and being careful that I present myself in the right manner. I'm doing the best that I can do. I'm honest to myself. I'm not living a lie. I'm developing character and principles in my life. And it seems as though that is what is guiding me. Did that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense, because that's the point of morals and values is what make a business.
It does.
Yeah, you have to have principles, and if you have the idea what you want, the people will come that will help you.
They will.
They'll show up. It just come. Just like I wouldn't have been in business if it hadn't have been for. That's the reason. Main thing in business is to set the image that you pay your bills and you clean up. Pay your bills on time. If it takes your last money and you don't see no more where inside, pay your bills. Yeah. Because that's very important. I got shot in my business and I'd paid out the last money. And my landlord, I got shot through the shoulder and a one-armed man shining shoes. Now you can imagine how I felt being shot and I'm shining shoes, and I just only was making rent month-to-month rent. And if I don't get it this month, I ain't gonna have it next month. Now I'm shot. Well, now you know what? I managed to get my rent, and then when I got my rent, the man that I'm renting from, when he got the rent, I mailed it to him, and when he got the rent, he called me back and asked me, said, if you need the money, I'm going to put it in the bank, but if you need the money, I'll send it back to you. You've been hurt. Do you know how much motivation and how much that gave me to know that I don't have to, I'm not under pressure?
A lot of people don't understand that when you do step out and in your heart, you know you're trying to do the best at what you do, you will get help. It'll just come for you. It's almost like it's already there, and you'll just discover that this help is there.
This what it is. It's all there.
I think when we start talking about business, as opposed to working for someone, we get education mixed up with preparation. You have to continuously prepare yourself to grow in business.
Yes.
Once you make a mistake, you see, like we were talking earlier about the graphic arts people, that some of them trying to do a business don't know what they was doing. After you've been there and you should be able to look at your work compared to other works and realize you need to train yourself more. Like what you're doing, Jess, I'm sure you go to seminars and things like that to improve. And what I would like to say to the people listening, continuously to improve yourself.
Yeah. You know, I do go to some seminar. I want to talk about setting goals, but first I want to answer that. Once in a while I go to a seminar, but you know what I do more than anything else? I try to maintain an objective state. And what that means, I try to learn from every experience. Like right now, I'm trying to be objective so I can learn how to do this even better. You know, to next time we can do it. Some of the things that we won't cover today. And I find that in learning by being aware of myself and my reaction and response to situation, I learn better that way. I don't know why it worked that way, but it seemed to work that way. But I do attend seminar. Matter of fact, that one of the things that we're going to be doing at Bond this year, we're going to hold one seminar per month for the whole entire year to help black men and women to get started in their business. So if you want more information about that, you can call us at 213-759-3844. Should we set goals?
Yes.
We should.
Yes.
We should.
But you got to know how to set them. Sometimes we set them too extreme.
You got to set realistic goals.
I want to make $1 million in 1 year. No, that's too extreme goals. You have to sell it at a something within reach. A 1 year goal, 5 year goal, 10-year goal.
When we set, so we all agree that you should set goals. That's right.
Yeah, you have to have a
So
goal.
when we set goals, what do you mean? I mean, what do you set? How much money I want to make, or what I'm gonna do tomorrow, or what kind of goal should you set?
Okay, for example, Jesse, right here in my black book, right here, I have my goal set it, right here, and on the first page it says, okay, I want to hire 60 people for the by the end of '92. I want to make over $100,000 by '92. Okay, I want to educate over 1,000 families with '92. Now this goal is reasonable where I can meet my goal. Now this is a 1 year goal. I also have a 5 year goal and a 10-year goal.
So are you guys?
Oh, I even get more immediate than that. You have to have a goal each day.
Each day.
There are things that you have to do each
That's the
day,
one.
as well as goals that you might have for the month or for the year. It's like part of the process of being in business is you have to plan.
Let me
You
ask
have to
this
take
then.
the time to plan.
How do one know what tomorrow? I mean, how do we know
think that's
what we
the
want to
point.
do tomorrow? You know, one thing that I find from a lot of people, they would say, "Well, I don't know what I want for tomorrow. I
I'll
can't
tell you
really
one thing you
tell."
do know.
And so it's difficult for them to set goals. How do you guys, especially up to 5 years, how do you know what's going to happen
Well, let me
in
just
5
offer-
years that you can plan that far ahead?
Let me just offer one thing. I may not know all of what I want to do tomorrow, but I know what I don't want to do.
Oh, I see.
So when I characterize it in that context, I know I don't want to be without certain things tomorrow, so I have to plan to make sure that those things happen by planning today.
Well, let me-
Direction. It gives you a direction. You set the goal like a 5-year goal. You break it. You come back to yourself. You come back to where you are now. Like if you wanted to say you wanted to make your income, you wanted to be $150,000 by 1997. You would come back to where you are now and look at yourself, and you would figure out what you have to do tomorrow, then what you would have to do next month, by the end of the year, the next year, and the next year to reach that goal.
And do that put stress on you?
No, so you
Yes,
don't.
yes.
If you have a goal, you don't stress yourself out.
You don't.
Because you set your plans. You put your goals in concrete, your plans in the sand. You will have to adjust as you go along.
And so do you set 5-year goals as well?
Yes, I have a 5-year goal.
And have you met those 5-year goals?
Yes, I have.
Really?
Little did you know, Jesse, that people every day that go to work, they have a goal already set in their mind. Is to get up in the morning and go to work. They don't know it, but that's their goal.
Life
Is
is
to get
set.
right.
It's a daily thing. It's just like a football game. Channel 7 is not going to pay. The advertiser is not going to pay Channel 7 all that money to see 2 football teams play, and they say, well, we don't have a goal line. We're just going to run plays.
So is there
When
a
they go
different-
back to the huddle, they have a play that either they're going to throw a wide out to get that amount of yardage. The whole thing is to get 10 yards. First of all, you got to, if you know football, you know what I'm saying. But they have a plan even if they want 5 yards, even if they want 10 yards.
You just brought a question. So is there a difference between planning and setting a goal?
Planning is part of the goal. Is to get to the goal. The ends
Oh, I see.
must justify the means, or the means, whichever in that order.
Success is a series of steps.
Steps. It's steps all the way.
The goal is what you ultimately want to do. Then you
Well,
have
that's
in
the end of the
between-
line,
in
and your
between,
goal
like,
is
The
the end
goal
of
is
the
the end of the line.
Right.
Well, now, myself, what I do, I see the first thing, I picture in my mind what I want from this. And I have to picture it in my mind complete.
Visualize.
Now, my business, before, even when I didn't know how to shine a pair of shoes, I already had it in my mind where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do with this in the complete form. How I wanted, how many stands I wanted, what color I wanted the building, where I want the shoe repair to set, and I'm going to put these all over America.
We're running out of time. So you do set goals. That's how you set your goals.
Yeah.
Do you make 5-year goals as well? Up to
Yeah,
5 years?
it's a 5-year goal, but my goal is made every day I make a commitment every morning to figure out how I can improve myself today.
It's
What do
a
you
book
say?
on goal setting.
There's what?
A book that's excellent for goal setting called A Blueprint to Success. And I have the book. I'm at area code 310-674-6187.
All right. Real quickly, what do you
I
want
was
to
just
do?
basically saying, like my friend here has his goal set, but then in between there, you have to have a method in order to achieve
plan.
those goals.
Right.
You have to have an action
That's
plan.
right.
That's why businessmen and women are creative. You have to, what do I have to do? Who am I going to have to call? How am I going to get more business in the door?
Oh,
And you
okay.
just sit down
Right.
and you write down different things, or however you want to do it, in order to achieve that goal.
All right. We're at the end of this particular portion of the program. This is a 4-part series, so if you missed today, tune in next Monday to pick up part 3. I thank you for being with me, and tune in next week.
Somewhere in the world today, men have got to stand up strong, think the truth about themselves, to understand what went wrong. I know we can find a way. I know we can find a way. I know we can find